Hi, my name is Valerie Robitaille, and I am James Robitaille's wife. James is the designer of the Quantum Energy Generator, or QEG. I'm also the co-founder of the Fix the World organization with my daughter Naima Fagan, also known as Hope Girl. And we have been on this quest.
I'm James Robitaille. I'm a career electronics engineer, and I left the mainstream work world in 2012. And I've been working on electronics and electrical things and mechanical things my whole life.
Sometimes all I would have to do is just ask him to come over to a malfunctioning machine, whether it's a kitchen appliance or a computer or anything technical, and sometimes just his presence will make that thing run right. I can't explain it, but it's definitely a thing.
It's just, I've always said it's a gift, and I've never taken credit for it myself. I'm a non-degreed engineer, so most everything that I've learned I taught myself. And it turns out that, strangely enough, everything that I selected to learn about throughout my whole life has become required experience for the QEG project.
I know you're all gritty because you're packing, but how do you feel? You're unpacking.
I feel very, very relieved and ecstatic.
We have all our stuff. It's still coming off the truck. This massive shipment. All the tools we need. We're in our lobby right now. We have to schlep it up all these stairs. Even our neighbor is helping us.
My name is Tavon Rivers. I'm a technician with over 15 years of experience. My careers have extended into the Navy and into the IT industry. First as a hardware technician, and then into more on the software side. I've always had an interest in alternative energy. I first got interested by looking at the work of Eric Dollard and some of the other researchers, Bedini, the videos of Linderman and some of the other people who've been in alternative energy for a couple of decades. And so I was on the forums around 2014, and then I first saw a video of the open source release of the QEG, and I wanted to try to understand this new device. It was the first device I've ever seen where someone gave the plans to where you can build your own generator.
You know, I assumed that there were some free energy devices out there that were operating, and that if we dug deep enough that we would find, we would be able to find devices and find people to talk to figure out how to do this. Well, after we had done some research, I realized that it hasn't happened yet, and I was really amazed to see that no one had successfully open sourced a free energy device.
So what's in the box?
Okay, I think it's the flywheel. After 1 year of development and design and having it made and sitting in China, 1 year, and it's here today, and we're about to unbox it. Literally about to unbox it. I don't know what's inside. So, all right, ready? Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. The foam packaging. There. The This is the flywheel, and these are the pulleys. These are the rotors here. They're not touching the big wheel. It's all magnetic attraction here. It's non-magnetic stainless steel. This is the same material they use in superconducting magnets, so that flux can go through it, but it's sturdy and it's strong, and it's used to house the magnets without distorting the magnetic fields around it. So anyway, the thing here is this magnetic cogging has a special application when you speed these things up, speed this wheel up to a higher RPM. So it doesn't just act like a flywheel, but at a certain speed, the magnets also help assist in added torque and power on the other end. And that's based on some previous research and replications by other inventors worldwide. So we're using this for our application here. And we're going to have the DC motor connected to the big wheel. And on this end will be the QEG. The thing here is that this is a fairly big wheel. It's a flywheel to turn, but you can turn it relatively easily from here also. So I'm sure there are a lot of other experiments to test with this thing, but we're using this for our generator project.
When we first open sourced the QEG in March of 2014, it felt like we were on the verge of doing something meaningful for the planet and its peoples, because our plan was to figure this thing out, this free energy device, and show people how to make it so that people would become unenslaved by the big energy companies, and they would be able to build their own devices. I was very hopeful that this was a good thing and that it would be received favorably, which mostly it was, but we did have some trouble, which led me to believe that it's not so easy to do something good.
And you know, we did a lot more research, and we began to find out about the previous inventors and learn about the suppression and how some had even been murdered by big oil concerns and the powers that be. You know, and we were pretty naive at first, but we've learned our lesson now.
Hello to everyone watching. This is James. I'm the guy that released the open source plans for co-development of the QEG in March of 2014. Thanks for taking the time to tune in. I really don't like doing this sort of thing, having my face in the public eye. I'm a private person, and I'd rather stay behind the scenes working on our organization's technical projects. However, I feel I need to speak up in view of recent further attacks against the character of my family, and especially against Hope Girl, my daughter. It's unfortunate that for the most part people will believe the most negative, sensational commentary about us without investigating for themselves. Our history is an open book for anyone to view on our websites, including expenditure reports showing the distribution of all the funds we obtained through crowdfunding, and a detailed FAQ page on our website clearly stating what this project is about. And contrary to the rhetoric from the internet trolls, debunkers, and free energy reporters such as Mark Dancy, Tinsel Koala, Zero Fossil Fuel, Mr. Summitville, Doezic, and many others, we have never claimed that we had a self-sustaining device completed and operational. I was employed at a mainstream corporation for 26 years until I left in 2013 to work on the QEG and other alternative energy projects. In our original open source release of the plans, being brand new in the free energy arena, I naively described what the machine was designed to do and what its capabilities were. After that first release, we were immediately attacked by people such as those I've mentioned above, who had decided these were bogus plans for a finished working device. We then wrote the FAQs page and reworded the description in the following releases and crowdfunding campaigns to clarify that we were asking for money to build and co-develop working prototypes. And as of July 2015, ongoing development of the full-size QEG has been private. This is clearly stated on our FAQs page and elsewhere on our website, but it seems people won't take the time to read. We have not scammed boatloads of money without providing anything. The money we collected from crowdfunding amounts to a little over $80,000, and it's all documented. This is boatloads of money? Really?
Understand the information that was being put on the forums. A lot of, as you can imagine, trolling behavior, but positive enforcement about the technology is what got me interested. And when I found out that the QEG family were coming to the UK, and I was living in the UK at the time, that was when it got my interest, and I tried to, that's when I wanted to meet and join the build.
Really, the motivation for releasing the QEG was for the benefit of mankind. We just wanted to do something to make a difference. And the more we developed the project and talked about it and thought about it, and we began to realize that if it hasn't been done before, that it was our assignment.
Some of the experiences that we've had over the past couple of years have had to do with hate. I don't know if that hate comes from jealousy or if people are actually being paid to make smear campaigns and spew hatred towards inventors. We've heard a lot about trolls and companies that have dirty tactics to discourage inventors.
So this is a UV lamp. It is a 600 volt, 3 kilowatt UV lamp. We're using this as a dummy load, 600 volts at 3 kilowatts for our circuits. So we know we got power surging at 600 volts at least when this thing glows. So that's why we have it.
Brilliant. It's like Christmas here today. What's that?
All right, so I got 3 of these. These were normally used for making solid-state Tesla coils. All they do is they take DC voltage in and they turn it into high frequency AC on the other end. So we're going to use this for some power conversion. We got 3 of these, and they're going to come off the back. They're going to be on the back end of an alternator that will create the DC power to allow us to run AC stuff on the other end. So this is like a very cheap inverter. 3 of these would be like a cheap high frequency inverter. I mean, that frequency could be like in the kilohertz instead of 60 hertz, 50 hertz. So this is the throttle control for the DC motor we have packaged.
Where's that?
It's in one of these
Probably
boxes.
in there.
But this is what controls the DC motor.
Okay.
This is much bigger than I thought. I thought this thing was like only half the size. This thing's massive. Okay, this is a ultra capacitor bank I purchased. This will store deep charge 36 volts. This is for the alternator that puts out 28 volts at 50 amps. This will store that power. I mean, you have like a bus bar. And the idea is to take this and to put it into these 3, and perhaps an inverter, but put into these things and get our RF on the back side.
This family is Christians, as you know, and we kind of got it into our spirit that the importance of this project was greater than we even realized.
as technology and the way things are done seems to progress, it's more towards open source. And now it's gone from open source software to open source hardware. But I think what we're seeing is a paradigm shift.
There have been many astounding adventures with this project.
If you were to go on the internet maybe in the late 90s and you started typing in the word free energy, you would get a set of inventors and researchers on the topic, and there wasn't very many of them. But I can name a few names that were there during that time, like Searle, Bearden, Bedini, and Dollard, and Linderman. You know, these people have been researching free energy for a long time. But what I'm seeing is a paradigm shift in what to do with that technology. In addition to those inventors, the paradigm before used to always be, or seemed to be, that the inventor has to get a patent. And then once they have a patent, secured one, that surely they can go to a company or an investor and get lots of money for their device, only to find that either the invention does not get released, which clearly is the case, or is suppressed, or something happens to the inventor and the technology is lost. So that time, I think, was a time where the internet was not available. Access, alternative media did not exist. And you know, if you're an inventor during that time, it's understandable, you're very protective of your device, and there are very few routes where you can share it if you wanted to, other than some road shows and some conferences. So this is the motor controller for the DC motor that we're going to open soon. But this is the throttle control that controls the motor speed on and off. This is the control that, you know, to turn it on or rotor to turn it, and it has to go through this controller for the commands. I have to mount this to wood or some stable structure.
What are these?
Like the QEG. These are mounting brackets for the flywheel. These are mounting brackets. So what you do is you put them on the side like that, and they you mount them to a base.
They're for mounting it.
They're for mounting it. So when if we need it mounted between like the QEG and the DC motor, we got those.
Spawn, how many people do you know are using Flywheel beside the guy in Pakistan that is an amazing thing?
I think there's probably half a dozen, I would say, legitimate videos online on YouTube that they look like they're using Flywheel technology to create Overunity systems. And it's not including the dozen or so patents of people, teams, and companies around the world that are using this technology in their patents for creating basically Overunity running systems. So it's a well-known technology, but it's not discussed, which is interesting.
Yeah, well.
This is the DC motor. This is the 1 kilowatt DC motor.
Way pretty small for a kilowatt.
Brushless DC motor.
Yeah.
Max speed is 1500 RPM loaded. Unloaded is like 2200. And so this equipment connects to it. It's also the same type of motor they put on the new electric bicycles now to assist while you.
We know that the normal route, or the normal route for something like this is that if an inventor has a machine that he has confidence in, you know, a generator, and it's a unique design, you know, his own design. The normal thing that you would do is go for patent protection, so that someone doesn't steal the design and build it. And the motivation is you know, for protection. So one of the concerns when we were looking for a machine is we had to make sure that it wasn't patented. The QEG is based on Tesla technology, and it's been in public domain for a long time. So it's not there are no patent issues with this device.
Times are changing now. I mean, everything is open source. if you can go online and you're looking for certain information, you're probably bound to find it. It just depends on your tenacity and asking the right questions. And then you'll probably find that one web page that will have exactly your answer.
From just releasing the plans, we had a deluge of emails immediately after that, and we tried to figure out the best way to follow up with releasing the plans. And eventually we determined that we were going to teach people how to build these.
We're in the realm of open source now. No longer does it suit an inventor to be protective of their device. It doesn't suit them, because anyone who open sources a new innovation, they have such a big advantage, because when they open source those designs and when they do it in a way that allows them to grow as a business and they share it with a community of people who are interested, there's instant feedback. The software community has shown that that works time and time again. Open source is the way to go. It is the future. It's happening now.
Here is a tour of the office. It's a little crazy. So here's my space, and we've got our whiteboard and all of our plans and our business meetings. And I mean, look at this. Look at that. That is an email chart.
Where should I start education to get my feet wet regarding the mini QEG and associated assembly?
Next step is to find a local company that can wind the bobbins for you.
I have never seen your site before. A friend of mine showed it to me. It's very interesting.
I believe I speak for everyone here when I say that if it wasn't for the stand-up, everyday individuals such as yourself.
The origins were in Eklund, not Tesla. Brandt says the same thing I said. Brandt said his operated at about 112% efficiency in the film.
I can see that you don't like Keshi. I have done a lot of his work and checked it out. For example, the nano coating, which he claims that has no electrical resistance.
It is so cool to finally be able to put my hands on this technology.
And secondly, where can I obtain complete parts list so that I may order the remaining parts to build it while awaiting for the core perk?
I made some fuses and it does not work. Put them out on the welding machine and they blew one after the other.
Bedini and I saw up to 120%, so 112 was pretty good.
The QEG project simply wouldn't be possible. Thankfully, this project is gaining momentum, pun intended.
As for the GANs, I don't think God himself knows. I was asked to become one of the lead researchers in South Africa.
Thank you for doing this project for us all.
I don't know why, but I felt I should drop you a line, so I have. All the best, Gordon.
Take care, give the family my love and positive energy.
Let me know if this idea works for you. Best regards, Peter.
All the best, warmest regards to Vaughn and the QEG family.
If you're interested in learning more about the QEG or free energy technology, be sure to check out our Free Energy Academy store. Here you will find our best-selling QEG ebook, which is also available in Spanish, Chinese, French, and Italian languages. You'll also find our updated 5th edition build manual, along with our complete QEG Builders video course, and many of our QEG webinars. We've also put together some great packages for beginners and much more. Visit the Free Energy Academy store at the link below this video.
Hi, it's Wilhelmina, and here's Hope's letter that she wrote me. End of June, June 24, 2016 is her letter. So much to catch you up on is the title of it. Dear Wilhelmina, there's so much to catch you up on, so grab a coffee or tea and get ready for a pleasant read. It was only after Val and Jamie arrived, and as I mentioned, they'd spent the winter in Pennsylvania, After they had arrived and started to settle into Morocco, that I realized just how worried I had been about them this whole time. Things are so much better, with all four of us together, nourishing each other's souls while we press forward with this project, up with free energy. This time, it was as though they were just able to glide into Morocco in absolute peace. After a few days of resting and going to the beach, the whole team was up and running again, answering emails and bounding forward. I would say our level of getting things done has increased exponentially. There was one morning when I wasn't quite awake yet, so I was dozing off on the couch waiting for my coffee to finish brewing, and I could hear the conversations going on around me in our new office/home. It's a big space, and we've got all our computers and desks set up. We now sit in the same room and do our online work and make phone calls. It is fantastic. She wrote that all in capital letters. She says, my beautiful Tavon has been on phone calls for weeks, organizing a proper shipping account and trade route for our company here so that we can easily get parts imported to us. One of the toughest things to figure out is customs, but we've been lucky in this area too. And then in the sidebar, I'm reading from where I've posted it onto my Wilhelmina's Diary website. In the sidebar, I've got a picture of Tavon on the beach. He's got a bright green t-shirt on. Great big toothy grin and his sunglasses. He says, I didn't realize you could even haggle down freight costs. So Tavon is laughing as he recalls the story of how he managed to get $800 knocked off of some shipping costs on some equipment being sent in.
These are some of the problems we've been able to work around with the QEG. There's no patent issues to be concerned with. We don't have any non-disclosure agreements because the plans were open sourced in the first place. We've done a couple of seminars, and I personally work with about 60 groups and individuals that are my students and builders, developing the machine. You know, every step that we reach, every milestone that we reach in the development, I release it, and other builders, you know, if they come up with an innovation, improvements, new experiment results, these are all released to the rest of the individuals and teams that are working on the QEG. We share all the technical information, engineering data, so it's truly a unique situation where we're co-developing this machine. And when we reach the goal, there's hundreds of machines that will be coming online close to the same time.
And we don't provide machines, we provide plans and instructions to build the machines. We have digital products for sale that have more detailed information to help people build, but the basic plans are still open sourced. None of us have escaped to Morocco with the money. We went to Morocco because we have been there building a QEG and saw that the business climate was so much less oppressive there for our fledgling organization than to try to set it up in the U.S. with all the fees, regulations, dirty politics, and hands in the till. If you're interested, we hope you'll take the time to get your information from our open websites.
This is a DC link capacitor. It's what is used for UPS, or uninterruptible power supplies. In case the power goes out, it keeps your workstation on for an additional 5 minutes or so. This one is 600 microfarad at 1200 volts DC. And we're going to do this on our, trying to rectify high voltage from the QEG type tests.
Because we are a humanitarian organization, we do get special breaks in the tax prices that are charged for imports. And just in case we needed extra help, we've got some good friends here that work with us and have family members who work in the customs office. Relationships are so important. It makes all the difference in the world. At the moment, most of the project work is still on the computer and the phone as we wait for our equipment to arrive from the US and also from China. But in the meantime, we've got a new upstairs in our own lab that we are getting ready for what we are calling the grand build. The best part is I've been chasing everyone around with my video camera and I'm filming it all. I'll be putting together the clips on a little mini-series called QEG Real World so we can show everyone just how this is done. But also, we want to show everyone how we are a real family, doing this for the people with a whole lot of love and engineering genius. Brackets, I can't help it, I'm just so proud of these beautiful men in my life. They are. There's a lot of engineering genius there.
Mainstream corporations will come out with a new device that basically will dedicate a portion of their personnel to a new project. And it can be, 5, 10, 15 people on a project, engineers on a project, and there's a budget set aside. Often there's a multi-million dollar budget. And the team, the design team, will have years sometimes to develop the design behind closed doors. And all the people working on the design are required to sign non-disclosure agreements and not talk about the design, so that all the income that's generated from this new design stays within the corporation, and it's all controlled. Well, with this device, we have an even larger team of engineers. We have anyone on the planet that decides to build, that they want to build one of these machines, they can do so.
Before they left the US, Jamie spent a lot of time with his manufacturing partner Matt at Terrelco, making sure things were all set and ready for when we finished the QEG. The good news is there is a steady amount of interest from builders who are building QEGs, as Terrelco is still selling QEG cores and kits to builders. So in the next few weeks, all of our equipment will arrive, and we will put everything together in our lab, and we'll be filming and sharing everything. First, we will rebuild the QEG from scratch. Then we will set up the mini QEG next to the big QEG and use the mini and other pieces of equipment like flywheel and other transformers to run experiments that will increase the QEG power output from 5 kilowatts to at least 10 kilowatts or more. That's Greek to me, but it probably means something to somebody. During this time, the students who have QEGs will bring theirs into self-running mode, and all the QEGs will come online at the same time all over the world.
We decided that we weren't going to do the thing that everybody does on YouTube. As soon as they put something together, immediately demonstrate it. They immediately do a video and demonstrate it. And we have learned that very bad things have happened to some very good people from demonstrating these machines. So we decided that we're not going to build them and we're not going to sell them. We're going to teach people how to build them for themselves. And that's the way that this technology can be successfully released without suppression. And if we can teach enough people to build these machines and build enough machines where we can release them close to the same time in many different countries, then there's really no way that it can be suppressed.
My wish for the QEG projects and other technologies that can accommodate the QEG in the Tesla Gen is to have units operating at the same time at the various groups who are working on it right alongside of us in their garages And during that time, we have at least one unit powering a local tribal village, doing something, either running their lights, because these areas, some of these remote areas have no lights, and or running a reverse osmosis water machine. Something, you know, that's basically what I like to see. That in itself, that drives the point home that energy can be synthesized and created anywhere in space, and we can use it to power any load, including something that creates water from the air. And that says it all.
Free energy is real, says the family, and our mission is to put this energy back into the hands of the people where it belongs. The knowledge of how to access and use free energy is also real, they say, and has been suppressed by governments and corporations for over 100 years because it is a threat to the fossil fuel industry. What we want is the release of all the free energy technologies that are now being hidden and held away from us. We want to use energy that is abundant and renewable and is free and does not harm the earth or any of its inhabitants and will allow moderation of the climate. Can you imagine our cars and planes and space vehicles being powered by non-polluting energy? Can you imagine all new manufacturing being based on clean energy? This is possible now. Inventors and investors who are passionate about free energy could come together in cooperative organizations to develop, produce, distribute, and install new free energy devices all over the world. There could be free training centers for these new technologies. Old energy jobs could change to new energy jobs. Imagine homes and commercial buildings being renovated with free energy. Mismanaged lands could be converted back to growing healthy food crops. Our ailing oceans could become living water again. This is our mission, says James Robitaille. Our free energy family is growing, he says. It's a big family already, and it's growing fast. We share the same hope for a better world. You are welcome to join us at any time. What we want is to fix the world with free energy.
I feel grateful that I've been able to come up with a project that will actually do something to improve the conditions on this planet. I wanted to use my skills and my knowledge somehow to improve life for my fellow man. That's been something that has been on my heart. So this also goes toward convincing me that this project was the thing that I've been training for all my life.
The system has everybody feeling pressure, all the time pressure to pay the rent and be a good parent and pay the utility companies and, do all the activities that is expected of an American family or an American individual. Work. And if you work, you're told if you work hard enough and long enough that it'll pay off. And the fact that it doesn't pay off ever in the United States, that people are suffering and people are being crushed by the system.
So we looked for projects like where can we supply electricity where there is none, and help some people directly, right at the grassroots level.
Free energy is what's going to take the place of fossil fuels. Do you mean solar energy? Nope. Wind? Nope. Well, sort of. But the free energy I'm talking about is way better than solar and wind. It's a zillion times better. Where does this free energy come from? We're swimming in it, breathing in it, and soaking it in through our pores. The space between the stars is jam-packed full of it. So is the space between the atoms in our bodies. Free energy is everywhere, and it can't have a meter put on it. It's ours for the taking. How much pollution is this free energy going to make? Zip. Is it safe? Definitely. Are you sure there's enough free energy to go around? There are a lot of people on this planet. I'm sure. Where can I buy a free energy machine? You can't. Not yet, but it won't be long now. I've heard that the free energy field is full of scam artists, shysters, and sleazebags. It is. How is the man on the street to know who to believe? You can believe me. You can believe me when I tell you that there are now a number of good-looking free energy devices coming along. You can believe me when I tell you that the most promising one to date is called the QEG, the Quantum Energy Generator. You can believe me when I tell you that today, now, this QEG, although it's still in the developmental stage, can draw out enough free energy from the void to keep itself running without any conventional power coming into it, and it can put out enough standard electricity to power an average American home. You snooze, you lose, folks. There's a reality show going on today that you don't want to be missing out on. What's happening is round one in the duel to the death between free energy and fossil fuels, and you'll be sorry to sleep through the whole match. It's time I told you the QEG story, so you can wake up to what the heck is going on these days in the real world, a world that matters to you a whole lot.